The chair is calling this meeting of the Executive Committee for the McLean County Board to order on September 9th, and we have 6 members present. We have a quorum. We can conduct business, and I need a motion for the consent agenda, which it will include the payment of bills as well as our meeting minutes. And our bills total for the regional planning, $1,686.62. And for the board, the county executive board, and please note that member Erickson has arrived. And, oh, very good. We have a full team tonight, and our executive committee funds are $317,661.87. So I need a motion to approve both the meeting minutes as well as those bills. And we have a motion by Member Klein and a second by Member Friedrich. And do we have, and all in favor of consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. We'll move to number 3, which is appearances of members of the public. Do we have any members of the public?
Chair Metzger, we've had no requests this evening.
That moves us on to the executive committee. And we do have appointments. And we have one appointment, a new appointment to the Public Building Commission. So may I have a motion to, that would be A1A, and may I have a motion to approve that appointment. We have a motion by Member Schaefer and a second. No second? Oh, we have a second here by Vice Chair Johnston. Any questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good, thank you. And now we will go to 4A1D, and that is approval of the proposal from ProPI, I guess, LS. That's the interpretation and translation people for the behavioral health that are served by the Behavioral Health Coordination. And we have a motion by Vice Chair Johnston and a second by Member Schaefer. Is there any discussion on that topic? Seeing none, all in favor of the translation and interpretation services, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. And that will move us then to finance. And we have our chairman, William Friedrich. And Member Friedrich, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Finance Committee brings one action item, and that is item B1A, request approval of a voter registration state grant from the Illinois Board of Elections, and I so move.
I need a second on that. I have a second by Member Rogel. Any discussion on that topic? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the approval of the voter registration state grant from the Illinois Board of Elections, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. The floor is again yours, Chair Friedrich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have no other action item. We will be bringing a couple items to the full board. So I have nothing further other than information, item 3, and that's to let the board and the public know we do have some presentations given by the county through our tax assessor, Mr. Timothy Jorzak. They're having an informational meeting tonight at 6 p.m. at the Lexington Community Center, where they will be explaining how it is that we assess our real estate taxes. It's very good information. Mr. Jorzak does an excellent job on explaining taxes, how they're assessed, and welcome the public to educate themselves on how this government works and how taxes are levied and spent.
I think it's how the land is, how it's appraised, not
Yeah.
the taxes
Right,
portion.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. Correct. So again, that meeting is tonight at Lexington, 6 PM, Community Building. Tomorrow night, they're having another meeting in the town of Gridley at 7 PM at the Community Building, which is right next to the fire station. And then we have our last meeting in Normal on the 17th at 6 PM. And that'll be at the Community Building at 1110 Douglas Street. So I encourage everybody to attend those
I think,
meetings.
is that in the, I think it's the Soldiers and Sailors. Yeah, they had it there a couple, I don't know, last year or the year before, but it's at the Soldiers and Sailors. So it is on Douglas, but just so people know kind of that location.
Yep. And that's all we have from finance.
I
Thank you.
think
Now
it's
you-
also important to know that our treasurer attends those meetings, so she does provide some insight, as well as Kathy Michael, our county clerk, does attend frequently. Not all of them, but usually she attends also. So it is a really great opportunity to get some questions answered and clarify, get an understanding as to your assessment on your property. So thank you very much, Chair Friedrich. We will move to C, so that would be 4C, and that would be our Health Committee. And Chairman Susan Schaefer, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Health Committee brings two items for action tonight. Item 4C1A is request to approve an ordinance by the McLean County Board amending Chapter 205 fees, Article 11 miscellaneous code fees, and the McLean County Code for Chapter 216 food service, and I so move.
And may I have a second on that? I have a second by Johnston. Is there any discussion on this? All right, all in favor of the approval of the tax for, it's a sales certificate?
It's fees.
Oh, excuse me, fees. I'm looking at the wrong thing, I'm sorry. The fees for the food service, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And you can continue, Ms. Schaefer.
Thank you. 4C1B is request to approve an ordinance by the McLean County Board amending Chapter 205 fees, Article 11 miscellaneous code fees, and McLean County Code for Chapter 310 sewage disposal systems, water wells, and geothermal exchange systems, and I so move.
And may I have a second on that? A second by Chair Friedrich. Is there any discussion on that topic? No discussion, no questions. So all in favor of the fee changes for sewage, water wells, and thermal, geothermal, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. And Chair Schaefer, you have the floor again.
Thank you. We will have another item for the board on Thursday. Thank you.
We will move to the Justice Committee, and we have Chairman Chuck Erickson. And Member Erickson, or Chair Erickson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The Justice Committee brings two items for action. The first item is item 4D1A, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the 11th Judicial Circuit counties of Ford, McLean, Livingston, Logan, and Woodford regarding the Veterans Treatment Court Coordinator, and I so move.
And I need a second. We have a second by Chair Schaefer. Is there any discussion? Yes.
Thank you. I just had a quick question. The apportionment, I feel like I've heard somebody tell me before, but what's the rationale for the apportionment that we have?
I believe it's the population in each of those
Okay.
counties.
Okay, that's what I wanted to, thank you.
Additional questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the approval of that intergovernmental agreement between the 11th Circuit Ford, McLean, Livingston, Logan, and Woodford County for Veterans Treatment Court Coordinator, say aye. Opposed? That motion passes. And Chair Erickson, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Chair. The Justice Committee brings one additional item for action, item 4D1B, request approval of a Violent Crime Victims Assistance Program grant agreement with the State of Illinois Office of the Attorney General, and I so move.
And I need a second. I have a second by Vice Chair Johnston. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on the approval of the Violent Crime Victim Assistance Program grant agreement. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That motion passes. And Chair Erickson, you have the floor again.
The Justice Committee has no other items to be presented to the board. I will present one item for information. At the Justice Committee meeting this month, we had an item on the agenda regarding the CO2 wells that were to be discussed at some point if an application is brought forward again by a company seeking such approval. It was the opinion of the chair, but I do not speak for the committee. It was the opinion of the chair that it was premature because it should not have been presented because it's part of the actual application, and I thought they couldn't apply until December. I suppose you could get into an argument about semantics of what was actually presented, but the Justice Committee did table that item for October, and I do not know what the Justice Committee will do with it at that time, but I would suggest that if items are going to start coming through regarding the CO2 issue, I would make the suggestion that they come in all at once or come closely together, not piecemeal. I know they're going to have to be separated out through committees, but I think that the county board needs to keep an eye on all of it to make sure it all meets federal and state regulations, and so that we can be satisfied in the end that if it does pass, that it will provide for the safety of the citizens of eastern McLean County. Thank you.
Yes, Member Klein.
Chairman Erickson, there is a state moratorium on all CO2 permitting projects for 3 years. So you are right that it is premature, but it's even more premature than I think you thought.
Well, that makes it more premature than what I thought, because I don't know why we had that on our agenda.
I don't either. I don't make those agendas, but I think that's a bigger discussion because, yes, you're correct that according to our code, they have the right to come back in with substantial new information for a new application, but that's a bigger question about whether we should be hearing applications before there is federal approval and before the state would allow us to permit it anyway. So it's more of an existential question than I think can be answered by October.
That works for me.
So is there a need to allow it to go on that agenda in October?
I believe we tabled it, so we have to put it on. I don't know. Isn't that what we have to do? Yeah. So we'll have to have the Justice Committee decide what they want to do with that. I don't think there was,
There wasn't a second, was there a second? I guess there
no,
must have been a
no,
second because
we
you
tabled it. We
Okay.
tabled it. But I mean, I just was curious why it was on there. And it just seemed to me like, wait a minute, this doesn't belong on there yet. I mean, sometime it might, but it doesn't belong on there yet. So anyway, if there is, since you're more knowledgeable in the law in that particular area than I am, if there's a 3-year moratorium, then I guess there is. So
Well, the answer I don't have is whether we're keying them up, getting them through our approval for them to sit and wait to see what the state does. I don't know the answer to that, but that's above my pay grade.
I'm not sure if a conversation with the land use, the zoning board director and also maybe our state's attorney would be in order prior to that meeting so we know the best approach to take with that topic. I think that may be in advance of the meeting. We don't want to surprise anybody at a meeting and they not have the ability to help give an opinion. So I think it would be helpful. So Chair Erickson, is that something we could ask you to do?
Not in the next 2 months. I'll leave it to some member who's going to. Not in the next 2 months. I'll leave it to some member who's going to be staying on the board after November to handle that issue.
So if it comes to this, to your committee, I guess
Well, the only thing that would come before our committee would be reapproval of that agreement, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm looking at the county administrator and state's attorney, but the only thing that's going to come before our committee would be what this agreement was. Since we only tabled it, it is my belief, although I cannot speak for the members of the Justice Committee, that it will not pass, but I cannot say that for certain. I mean, I think it will die for lack of a second when it comes to the Justice Committee in October. But I want to be careful. I can only speak for myself. So I don't know.
all
What do you
right.
think? You accept? All right.
Yeah, no, yeah. You're talking to her, not me.
Well, what do you think? I mean, I don't think it should be coming forward. I mean, I just think, why are we doing this at this point?
I guess I don't quite understand the strategy, and maybe there's a legal strategy that I don't understand, but, I mean, if it were to be approved by, I could understand certain committees looking at certain subsections of an application, but I think the totality is the bigger issue, and it seems, that was the big issue, right, was their safety plan? But if there's no pending application with the federal government or the state would allow it, then, maybe those would change. If it's another 2 years, would that safety plan change at all between now and then? I don't know. So I think it's a big question. Right.
All right, that topic, thank you for sharing that. So there is a knowledge. However, I think you and your committee will need to address that. And if you, in advance, would like to have conversation, I think the Director of Building and Zoning as well as the state's attorney are happy to meet with you. All right? Thank you. Anything else, Chair Erickson?
No, I believe that's enough for one meeting.
Thank you. We now are moving to 4E, and that's Property Committee, and Chair Val Lehman.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The Property Committee brings one item before the board this evening. We bring item number 4E1A. That's the request approval of the ordinance pertaining to the use of control of cul-de-sacs, loading docks, sally ports, parking lots owned, operated, maintained, and/or leased by McLean County, and I so move.
And I need a second. We have a second by Schaefer, Member Schaefer. Any discussion on these? Yes, Member Schaefer.
I just want to thank the addition on page 57 about the parking lot at 200 West Front Street. And I would like to thank those, and I definitely support H1 and 2 for that because of the problems that it has caused the health department by having people that are not utilizing the health department, utilizing that parking lot for their things, and our clients not being able to find parking. And so it's something that has been talked about many times at the Board of Health, and I do appreciate this change in the code.
All right, and I would agree. I've been over there and not been able to find a parking place. So now that's not to say that it isn't legitimate, but there are not a lot of spaces, so it would be nice to ensure that those are utilized by the individuals that are going to utilize, to that building. So any other discussion on this approval of the ordinance for the use and control of the cul-de-sacs, loading docks, sally ports, parking lots owned and operated by McLean County? All right, no other questions. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. And Chair Lehman, the floor is yours again.
Thank you very much. The Property Committee has no other items to be presented for action. We do have 4 to go before the board on Thursday, and I'm happy to answer any other questions.
All right, we have 4F, and that's Land Use and Development, and Chair Leah Klein.
Thank you, Chairwoman. The Land Use and Development Committee does not have any items for action today, nor do we have anything for the board. But I will update everyone that tomorrow we have our first meeting of the Battery Electric Storage Systems meeting called BESS. We call wind turbines WEX, and the battery storage will be called BESS. That's as they are referred to in the statute. So we're going to get together and get that finally moving, the battery storage adjustments to our zoning code in order to permit them in the county.
All right. We will go to 4G, and that would be Chairman Jim Rogal. And Chairman Rogal, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Transportation Committee has no items to present tonight for action, but we will have 4 items to be presented to the board. I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
All right, any questions for Chair Rogal? All right, seeing none, we will move to the report of the County Administrator 4H, and Ms. Taylor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Metzger. For H1A, I request approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Regional Office of Education number 17, down on page 60.
And I need a motion. We have a motion by Vice Chair Johnston, and I need a second. I have a second by Klein. And any discussion on this topic? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the intergovernmental agreement with the Regional Office of Education number 17, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. And Ms. Taylor, you can proceed.
Thank you. Next up is request approval of agreement with Stewart Spreading, Inc. regarding Kamlara Park Sewage Treatment Plant Rehabilitation Project.
And I need a motion for that. We have a motion by Chair Lehman and a second by Chair Friedrich.
This project is coming to the Executive Committee because it is using ARPA funds, and I do have the Director of Parks and Recreation, Mike Steffa, here, should you have any questions about this specific project.
Any questions? I think everyone is happy that it's proceeding. At least I know I am, and I'm sure you are too. So seeing no questions, no discussion, all in favor of that agreement with Stewart Spreading for the sewage treatment plant rehabilitation project, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. And Ms. Taylor, you can proceed.
Thank you. Last up, we have H1C, request approval of an ordinance by the McLean County Board amending Chapter 257, licensed businesses of the McLean County Code on page 77.
And may I have a motion? I have a motion by Chair Schaefer and a second by Vice Chair Johnston.
I'd like to thank our First Assistant Sierra for his research on this amendment. When it was brought to our attention that our code was outdated, he very quickly found the necessary changes that needed to be made. So thank you.
And it's related to massage parlors.
Massage parlors.
Okay. Which we don't have any currently, correct? That we're aware of.
I don't know.
But now they have to be licensed businesses, so. please.
If I may, they're all licensed by the state now, so the county no longer has any information or knowledge of where they're located. The amendment was precipitated by an application for a new establishment that is planning to go in around Lake Bloomington, and they were going to submit an application, and we realized that wasn't necessary.
Not at Kamalara Park, though.
Not there.
Yes, Vice Chair Johnston.
Thank you. So looking at it, we're just striking. We're not adding anything. We're just removing it. Thank you.
It makes it easier, right? But thank you, I would agree. Any other questions? All in favor of the changes to the licensed businesses in Chapter 257 of the County Board Ordinance, say aye. Opposed? That motion passes. And you have the floor again, Ms. Taylor.
Thank you. I do not have any items to present to the board. Thank you. I do not have any additional items to present.
All right. And for other communications, I just want to remind everybody, and I will remind the entire board, but I wanted to remind all of you that next month we will be starting our budget process. And so be aware that those meetings, as you know, may run a bit longer than we sometimes see them. In addition, I'm going to encourage all members to attend those meetings that you each are going to be chairing, because we had last year a number of members that said they didn't know this was going on. And so if there are people who are interested in the health committee budget or the land use budget, or those that are in finance or property, or that they attend those meetings so they can get their questions answered at the committee meetings, because it is not generally the easiest to get answers when we take it to the county board meetings. So I will ask all to, and if you are interested, please attend those meetings. But I will, and I think we all agree that being a group, or having a board that functions on that committee process is good, and we have to trust that our colleagues are doing the due diligence necessary, and I trust all of you are. Just because I show up does not mean that I am questioning. I always try to come to those meetings, but the reality is we do need to encourage all of our members to attend if that's what they, if they have a real desire to have a detailed understanding. Otherwise, they need to appreciate the efforts that you make, and I know you will do all you can to make sure that those budgets are addressed and reviewed in detail. So, anybody have any questions about that? I think you all have been through this before, so this is not going to be new, but I just wanted you to be aware that there will be I will make this same comment to the entire board on Thursday, so everybody has the same understanding. All right? Seeing anything else for the good of the cause, our next meeting is October 14th at 4 p.m. And thank you so very much. We are